Man, what did you think of the closing angle of Dynamite this week?
I loved it.
Burning the house.
I absolutely loved it. I like how it bookended the character. Man, I really like the Swerve Hangman feud for the last year. Like, I really like how they've kind of flopped spots right now. But I mean, like, this Swerve kind of getting his comeuppance. Like, he was Swerve did everything rotten to get to that world title. And then, like a nice Greek tragedy, he kind of gets what he deserves in a way, but in a way that nobody comes out of this whole thing looking good. Like, it's not like Hangman feels self-righteous, but you don't light a man's house on fire. Like, it's really good TV, to be quite honest with you. I really enjoyed that angle. I thought it was, because I had a spoiler, I thought it was going to be like when Randy Orton did that thing to Bray Wyatt, but it wasn't.
No.
Like, it felt different. It felt like it had stakes. And I think Hangman Page is an underrated promo. Like, especially in this version of his character. Like, he is overly verbose and a little much, but I think that's what the character is supposed to be at this point. Yeah. Like, I was really happy with it. What'd you think?
I loved it. And I also, part of the reason why I loved it is because he started the promo by shitting on ceremonial contract signings. So of course I made the joke because if you do a contract signing in the ring, no matter what the company, I'm making fun of it because it's stupid.
They're done. Overdone.
Yeah, especially just a couple of days before the actual pay-per-view. So I made the jokes like, well, hey, look, he chose to burn down a house instead of sign the contract. So is the match really happening? Because I can't. I don't know. I can't. Like, I think we have to put it in like the Jeopardy column. Like, it could be in Jeopardy. But Tony Khan on his call today said that he spent all night keeping a Hangman in a jail for arson. So
Schrodinger's match. It will and won't happen at the same time.
Yeah, but no, I thought it was man, one of the best closing angles to a wrestling TV show that I've ever seen, to be honest with you. I know that it's absurd. Yes. And we have to suspend disbelief.
Yes.
And sometimes that can be difficult for me. And I think I don't want to, but if it's awesome, I can't not. Like, I know it's not legit. I know he's not going to go to prison. And I know they're not really going to explain it very well. But because it was awesome, I'm going to give them a pass, because Hangman was sitting there with a glass of whiskey, setting a motherfucker's childhood home on fire. How could that not be anything but awesome?
A guy who broke into his house, right, a year ago, and Hangman is like the most justified heel in wrestling since like Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Like, how can you people cheer this guy? Look what he did to me. I hate him, right?
Yeah.
Just like he's
so total babyface.
But he's not, though.
Like, I know. He's got a reasonable gripe.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. That's what makes him a good heel. That's what makes him a believable villain. Like, those are some of the best villains, the ones that think they're right. And it's, when you think about it, you're like, they are kind of right. But Swerve kind of thing is like, man, I did so many bad things to get the title. I had so many bad things to get the title. And then seeing a bad thing turn back on you and him just being helpless to realize, like, I made this bed and now I got to sleep in it. It's really good TV, man. I was really happy with it.
Yeah. I thought the whole, I thought the Go Home show was pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I'm kind of over how many times Kyle Fletcher's getting beaten. Like, I know they're going to do something with the guy eventually, but I'm like, I feel like I'm like 1998 me, like, 15 years old watching WCW, and I'm kind of sick of the olds, right? So I'm like, these 50-year-old dudes that are on top. I'm ready for these young cats to break through, and we saw it with Swerve recently. Now I'm ready for Kyle Fletcher to break through.
Mm-hmm. That's Garcia's getting a shot.
Yeah.
No, it's good. Kyle Fletcher's got a ton of talent. He's still a kid, but at some point he's got to start beating people.
Yeah.
We
saw it happen with Swerve, and I was pretty impatient with that too. And if you guys think I'm going to learn my lesson, I am not. I'm going to be impatient about Kyle Fletcher too. I'm going to fucking ring that bell until it happens.
Clearly you don't listen to the show, if that's what you
think. Yeah. But so we got All Out coming up. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of a preview of that. So I mean, the main event has to be Swerve versus Hangman inside a cage. I think they said that it's going to be a lights out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of that match, and who do you see going over in that one?
I think I'm going to have a great time in the arena. That's what I think. My kid has asked if he could borrow my phone during that match because the blood makes him a little uncomfortable. And he's like, he looked at me and goes, they're both going to bleed a lot. And I said, you're right, bud. You're right. Yeah. I'll give you my phone in that match. I I don't see Swerve going up 3-0.
I don't either.
Mhm.
I think that's the dilemma. So I've seen the argument both ways, which means like they have a good problem on their hands, right?
Mhm.
Because I've seen the argument both ways. Swerve goes up 3-0, and then Hangman devolves more into madness. But I'm like, and then that makes him more interesting. I'm like, I don't know
It
how more
doesn't.
mad he can get, guys.
Right.
Like
He lit a
he's
guy's house on
pretty
fire.
fucking furious right now.
I think Hangman needs to a little bit of rebuild. I think we need to see Hangman got to win something at some point again. And Swerve just lost the title. He can lose here because he's kind of down and out. And I think the move here is putting the belt on giving the win to Hangman and letting the feud just stay on simmer. Like it's still hot. It's still the best
Yeah.
thing in the company. Train.
I would say over the summer, I felt like the women were carrying the company a little bit with their TV feuds. And for both titles, I thought were both very good. Now the Britt Baker and the Mercedes Moné one, I
Whoa,
didn't think
wait, did
ended up very well.
did that not
Like,
deliver at the
I
end?
think they missed the mark on that, and we have not seen Britt since then. I think that's interesting. I don't know if that means anything, but I think that's interesting.
Well, here she's
Um,
open to these kind of things.
yeah, but now I think that the main story. Look, Hangman has been the main character in AEW for ever now. It seems like he's
Since its inception. Remember the very first. I heard Joe and Rich talking about this in the flagship this week. The very first presser from AEW was like to announce Hangman as kind of the guy, and him and Pac had that big square off. Remember the show is called Full Gear. The pay per view is called Full Gear because Pac showed up with his full gear on, and that joke was that Hangman was getting fat on being the elite, and they do so. I mean, like Hangman is kind of the lifeblood of this promotion, and the fact that he's been passed over and he's like going crazy about it when he didn't do anything wrong makes perfect sense.
yeah. Hold on, I might have to kick King of the North out of the chat. He
Oh, what
says
do you say?
says Britt is getting traded to TNA from Masha Slamovich. Stop that. We're not taking the dentist. You can't have Masha until, of course, her contract expires next year and she signs there.
Yeah, that's probably gonna happen. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, I think the match is gonna rule. They have
Yeah.
amazing the two of them have absolutely amazing chemistry. Whether it's like just a talking segment or in the ring, like these two, they're meant to do this forever. Like they are Batman and the Joker of AEW,
They are.
which I have no idea. Like
So
it's
Swerve compared him to he made the comparison. He himself said this on Twitter. Well, he didn't say it. He just posted side by side photos of Stone Cold and The Rock, and then him and Hangman. I'm
yeah.
going to correct him on that.
Oh, go
I
for it.
I think it's more Stone Cold and Brett.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I see it. And I will fight this to the death. That was a much better. It didn't draw the same money that Stone Cold and The Rock did.
Better
Because
feud.
The Rock is a much bigger star. But as far as like just stories and angles and promos and heat, like the heat between those two is off the charts. And then of course the matches. So I would say I like comparing it to Stone Cold and Brett. And that is a pretty fucking high compliment for me as a guy who has a t-shirt of Stone Cold and Brett on it.
It's probably the greatest WWE match in history. I'll still maintain that. I don't think there's a better top to bottom match as far as work and storytelling and like, just resonance. Like it's still the best WWE match ever.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think there was a time I would have said Kenny Omega, John Moxley feud is the lifeblood of this promotion. It is the program that's kind of you can always go back to, and there's just that history. I quickly think Hangman Swerve has become the next one.
Yeah.
Like it's reaching like for this company epic levels of like what it means to the company.
Yeah. Next up, we got Bryan Danielson versus Jack Perry in the co-main. I'm going to call it the co-main event because I just don't see Jack Perry as a main eventer. And I know that upsets people, but I just don't think the kid has it at that level. But Bryan Danielson's the greatest ever. So
Jack come a long way this year.
He did. He's improved.
Yeah,
he did.
Like just the whole package, top to bottom. Do I think he's improved enough to be the champion to knock off Bryan Danielson 2 weeks after winning the belt? I do not.
No. Wait, you don't think that he's going to be the guy to retire, Bryan Danielson?
I do not. I do not see that coming quite yet. No.
Yeah, but look, Jack Perry kicks out of shit. He does moves. The match is going to be great, and then Bryan Danielson's one of the greatest ever. So, like, they're going to pull off a really good match. So it's going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. Next up, which I think could be like sleeper match of the night, Will Ospreay versus Pac for the I keep wanting to call it the Intercontinental title, but it's the International title.
formerly known as the American title. This is your work rate sicko nerd match, and I can't think of a better one they could have given us.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how excited I am for this match.
Yeah, it's gonna tear the house down. But I love Pac. He's been losing a lot, which sometimes like if a guy's been losing a lot, it makes me think that they might get him a win here, but I don't think so. I
I don't
think
think
Will's
so.
got to take the victory here.
He just got the belt back.
Yeah. And then we got, which I think they've been doing a really good job of making this feud interesting. MJF and Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia, whom I assume is signed here. There's not been an announcement, but I'm sure he's re-signed.
Yeah,
But
sure.
looks like it's gonna look. I think they're gonna have a pretty good match.
I don't know what you're gonna do because I mean, like, I feel like if Garcia loses, he's done.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, and that the move would be to put him over MJF. But I don't know if Max's ego lets that happen. I mean, like, I think we're kind of buying into the narratives of MJF a lot of the time. But I do have a hard time seeing him losing to Daniel Garcia in this one. Hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, me and Garcia got beef after that promo on Wednesday where he made fun of MJF for going to Turkey and getting hair plugs, and that which immediately made me stop googling how to get hair plugs in Turkey. So I was like, that's very offensive to me. So,
No comment.
but yeah, I think this one's hard to call. I think the right move would be to put Daniel Garcia over if you're trying to build a guy. But I just don't know if MJF goes back to back pay per views with a loss. I just don't think they do it.
I mean, we're asking a lot for this pay per view as opposed to letting newer guys win over established guys. That just typically isn't how we see things in pro wrestling in general.
Yeah.
I'm gonna referee. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to. I lost my train of thought. Mike, continue.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander. I feel like I thought this feud was about over, but it just keeps going.
They have good chemistry. I do think we could kind of. I mean, like, is the title on the line? Is that a CMLL title on the line? It's just she's just going to be the champion and have a street fight, basically.
Yeah, they're just having a match apparently because I don't know. There might be political things with the CMLL title.
I could see it. Well, CMLL values their titles. It should be fun. I like Willow. I think that Chicago crowd's going to eat her up. I think this should be the end of this feud, right?
Yeah.
But one more time. That's the problem with this show is they had to throw something together, right? Because you spend all summer promoting Wembley, and then Chicago gets table scraps because we just can't. We have to have these two shows so close together. It's whatever. It'll be a good match.
Hey, Chicago, I think you guys got pretty fucking good table scraps with that cage match, and Pac versus Ospreay.
Well, I'll tell you this: we used to get 10,000 plus at the Now Arena. Now we're gonna be lucky to get 7,500. So we'll see what happens. Again.
Yeah. Tag team championships: the Young Bucks versus the Blackpool Combat Club, Wheeler Yuta and Claudio. The Blackpool Combat Club just got the trios title, and now they're already gonna have them lose for a tag. Like Young Bucks got to keep the belts here. I don't see any reason why they would lose.
Wheeler Yuta getting pinned for sure.
Yeah. But of course, it's probably going to be a good match. I just don't find it to be interesting, to be honest with you. I have lost a lot of interest in the Young Bucks over the summer.
I can't tell you how little I care for the Young Bucks right now. Every time they're on the show, it just completely grinds it to a halt. Their characters are off-putting. They're not interesting anymore. Like, they don't have to be baby faces to be interesting. They can be effective heels. But these characters are not effective heels, and I'm bored with the whole thing.
Yeah. King of the North says Willow versus Chris is an ODQ match, and CMLL stopped it from being a title match because they don't do gimmick matches for belts. You know what? Good for you, CMLL. Be Sam Mushnick. I like that. Like, stick to your guns there.
Well, let's not go crazy here. Like, they don't book their time. I mean, like, CML titles are really just kind of there. So
yeah,
hardly Sam Mushnick, but I agree with you.
Yeah. Kazuchika Okada looks like he's defending his Continental Championship against 3 unknown assailants. Mystery people.
The King's Knights is going to be Jeff Gaylord and Greg Valentine.
But not Terry Funk, for sure.
Not Terry Funk, for sure. I think Jeff Gaylord might be dead, too. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, that joke just got a little darker.
Yeah, I didn't realize until after I made it, actually. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. We don't know who's in the match, do we?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, he's... Other than saying the B word and having decent matches on television, I don't know what the hell Okada's got going on.
Getting paid, that's what he's got going on.
I'd like to see him in a feud with somebody that's meaningful. That'd be nice.
They seem to be going with some of him and Takeshita. So I assume Takeshita's going to get in this match too. I would like to see an Okada Takeshita feud, like a legitimate feud for the next 6 months. That'd be cool.
Yeah, me too. And then lastly, but not least, we got Mercedes Moné defeating Hikaru Shida clean as a sheet in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure the match will be fine. Two pretty good workers there, but nothing really interesting about it, to be honest with you.
Nope.
Well, let me get to the chat here, and then we're gonna go ahead and go home on this deal. Nathan says, all right, hold on. King of the North says MJF losing 2 pay-per-views in a row would be interesting. Yeah.
Agreed.
And then Nathan said, let MJF win the first one, Daniel wins the blow-off later. I think that's probably the way they go.
Could be.
Nathan with a hot take says this card is way better than Wembley. I don't know about that one. I thought the closer for Wembley
pretty awesome.
But I do think the top of this card is pretty damn good.
Agreed.
But the rest of it, they're going to have good matches, but I don't care about any of those matches. And I see just as good or better matches every week on TV. So I'm not really clamoring to see them on this pay-per-view. That doesn't mean I won't enjoy them.
No argument.
Dobby says that the opponents are determined on Collision. Hey, Dobby, if you're still here, was Collision taped already?
No, Collision's live tomorrow.
Oh, it is? Okay, probably from Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll find out. But yeah, All Out coming up this weekend. JD will be in the house on when is it? Saturday night. JD, are you going to Collision too or no?
No, actually, Andy and I got tickets to a independent lucha libre show at a like a little festival in our hometown.
Nice.
He's
convinced Gringo Loco.
Oh yeah, if Gringo Loco's there, I'll be happy. I don't recognize anybody that they've announced that's going to be there. Andy is convinced Mystico is going to show up, and I keep telling him Mystico is not going to be at this little park in Genoa, Illinois, on a Friday night when he should be in Arena, Mexico. And he looks at me and goes, "But he could be."
He's got a point.
And I'm like, "Oh my god, my kid just sets himself up for disappointment."
Hey, can you just buy a Mystico match and tell one of those fuckers to put it on for your kid and take a picture? Come on.
I know Mystico masks. Those things are expensive.
Yeah. But hey guys, I know we cut it a little bit short tonight, but we do got to get going. I thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for being subscribers. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button and make sure you're a subscriber and throw down a comment. Tell us what you think. If you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, please give us a 5-star review. And then, of course, as always, please head over to Patreon. Go to patreon.com/The Mike and JD Show. I will be back this weekend discussing TNA news. I laid down the gauntlet to Gail Kim earlier this week, called her out specifically on social media. I've called her out on podcasts, but I finally made it public on social media. Said, we need to start putting pressure on TNA to sign some knockouts. And sure enough, they answered my challenge, and I'm going to go ahead. I don't have any evidence that I was the one that got this done, but that's not going to stop me from taking all the credit. So this weekend, I will take credit for TNA improving their knockouts roster tonight with 2 new signings. So we'll be discussing that and more coming up this weekend. That's going to do it for us, everybody. Thank you for being here. And until next time, mahalo.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you work your A game. Ain't made no rain on the track when we unite and spit. This is an A game, better bring your A game.